right, so I put a packet in front of everyone.
Appreciate it.
Oh, thank you. Has the agenda for today, so we're calling the meeting to order right now, and then we'd like to do a roll call. So, Michael, will you?
Michael Griffin, present.
Dee Dee Forte. Come on in, Sue. Co-chair.
Don Morgeson.
Sue Polidora.
8.
Eva Boyce?
Carrie, sorry.
Sorry, yeah.
Oh, you're not.
Coram Hallowell, Parks and Greenery Foreman
Okay.
for the City of Portsmouth.
Carrie Rubenstein.
Great.
Suzanne Woodland, the Deputy City Manager.
Awesome.
Oh, good, we have another committee member, sorry.
Doesn't look like we have anybody on Zoom
Nope.
right now, but
Good, how you doing, buddy? All right. Good to see you.
Chris. And this is Chris, everyone.
Hello. Everyone.
But I do expect Sue Sterry to join at some point. She's remote right now. So that's the roll call. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 members of the committee.
So we have a quorum, right?
Yep.
Yes, what am I missing?
So number 3 is approval of the minutes and notes, and they're all in your packet. So if you need some time to look it over, you're fine. But yeah, so we have 4 months of minutes because we haven't had a quorum for a different number of reasons. But anybody on Zoom is not considered like part of the quorum, so my bad, I've been gone for 2 months. So,
Where were you, by the way, anyway? Our fun?
South Carolina, yeah.
Okay, good.
Kiowa, near Charleston.
That's where my son goes to college.
Really?
College of Charleston, yeah.
I love that
So, yeah,
campus.
it's probably right near you when you're down there.
Oh, yeah, we parked.
Anyway, not to digress.
Yeah, sorry.
If you'd like, you can make it, someone can make a single motion to approve the minutes and just list them off, if that's easier, if there is no one, you can
I'll
just
make
make,
a motion to approve.
Second.
Thank you so much.
and then just call it all in favor.
Aye.
Aye.
So, and number 4 on the agenda is the quorum situation, which I just referred to because for the last couple months. And we currently have 9 members of the committee, and we were approved for 12, between 12 and 18.
11 and 18, I think.
Or something like
12
that.
and 18.
Yeah.
So we do want new members.
And I do know that someone did apply, whose name is escaping me. They were on the agenda, the last city council agenda on Monday for consideration. So it sounds like, assuming there are no issues, that come the next city council meeting, you will have 1 additional member.
Okay.
I apologize, I'm
Great.
blanking on the name.
Great, so, yeah, I mean, we have a dedicated group of committee members right now, and just looking for more dedicated people to join, and that would be great if that goes through, and assuming that goes through. And, yeah, so if anybody knows anybody else that's interested in joining, please do. Carrie, thank you for putting that on Facebook to the call out.
I could probably do it
Yeah,
again.
good idea.
Yeah, we appreciate that. So next item is the review of the North and Union Cemetery headstone cleaning project, which actually there's some notes on that on the very last page of your packet. So I don't know, Suzanne, if you
I'll
want.
give you the update, and Corin is here in part because I'm coordinating with Public Works Department. And Corin was part of a meeting we had earlier this week to work on those coordination pieces. So if you want, with the chair's permission, I'll just walk through what's in the packet.
Perfect.
So the first document is sort of my attempted summary of the headstone cleaning project. I took the notes that were developed through our conversations here, and then I met with with one of the co-chairs, Susan Sterry, probably 2 weeks ago, and we refined this document. And I think we were trying to keep it to a page to make it just very easy to distribute, to post. And I would take your feedback in terms of whether there are any other issues with this. I reviewed this with Public Works earlier this week to make sure that Public Works was happy with it. I will reach out to New Hampshire Division of Historic Resources just to get their blessing that they are indeed really good with this.
On the steps for cleaning?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because we do need it before. going
It would be appropriate to have it just in case someone changes their mind later about the product or something. So we always, particularly here in Portsmouth, we try to be sensitive, having
the
learned over
D2?
time.
Is that the D2 solution? You want
Yes.
to just make sure that they
They are comfortable with the whole project. So I'm going to give them this sheet and just say, this is what we understand we can do. Are you comfortable with that? That we're not going to cause any damage to any historic, markers. So,
Yeah. That's
So-
great.
so that, hopefully, I was hoping to do that before we met this week, but the conditions didn't quite come together. But hopefully, before you have to do your presentation before City Council, we'll have that answer just to make sure we're all good to go.
Yeah, this is great because I saw this whenever it came from the city. I was just online, I'm like, okay, I can put stuff down here, but does somebody got to stamp it like the world according to me is an AVP from the internet, right? It's like this guy I know has done cleaning,
Yep.
but somebody was just going to certify it.
So that's why we're
All right.
making sure that we have all approvals and that we could possibly need. So assuming we get full green light from the New Hampshire Division of Historic Resources, Corins has offered to kind of make sure we get the supplies needed. Public Works will take care of making that purchase so that we can, properly track it. He'll get it stored away safely until the day of the event. And I gave him the information that you had provided, that it looked like the place in the business in Rochester might have the cheapest available. So,
Yeah, you can pick it up too, which is good, yeah.
yep.
Yeah.
So he will take care of that. And maybe it would be a good opportunity, maybe, Corin, if you don't mind, just describing for the committee, what you do for the city of Portsmouth,
okay,
so
yeah.
that they get their
I thought you were a
introduction
new
to
member
you.
of the committee.
No, not yet. I've been with the city about 10 years. I started out as the city arborist, then slowly kind of worked my way up they call me the Parks and Greenery Foreman now, so I oversee all the green spaces, Prescott Park. I still help oversee trees, and so I'm just involved with that, plus many other things that go on at the highway department. So that's, generally speaking, I'm just organizing all the crews that do that work.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it's a
I know
lot
you
of fun.
took care of a couple of trees that needed to be cabled at the North Cemetery. Didn't
Yeah,
you?
we met there one. I met you there. Yeah, you do tours, right?
Yep.
Yeah, we've met before. I was working in there. Yeah,
Yep.
climbing some trees. So that's generally what I do. And I know Michael from the Trees and Greenery Committee. I used to serve down that for a while. And yeah, and so I'm looking forward to working with you all to help improve the cemeteries.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
And Corin's going to work with his staff to get someone from Public Works to help coordinate the day of the event.
I'll have a staff member there with a water tank to fill buckets. That person will bring all your supplies, the D2, gloves, kneeling pads, rags.
Oh, wow,
And
that's
so they'll
great.
be able to just sort of help you move forward with the project. I think we'll have buckets that you can bring to the truck, get them filled, and then bring them back to your work. And that truck will be parked out on the street.
Great. Does it have a hose or is it a spigot type truck?
It does have a hose, so we can probably run the hose. I think we've got about 150 feet on that truck, so we can run that out into the cemetery too.
That's
no
great.
problem. Yeah,
Be awesome.
yeah.
And then also importantly, Corin suggested during the meeting we had earlier this week, oh, well, maybe we should talk to parking and reserve some parking spaces along Maplewood Avenue. So
I
he
thought
gets
about that
credit.
just now. I'm like, all
Yeah,
of
we'll
these people
post
are going to
that,
be
so-
parking there.
We'll post that whole side from where you enter into the salt piles. I never remember the name of that road, but the little dirt road there that
Yeah.
goes in by
Yeah.
the tracks.
Yeah.
And we'll post right down to the end of the cemetery so that nobody has to, worry about getting close. And I think we're planning on 20 people, so enough materials for 20 folks. Buckets.
I picked a number.
That would be good.
I was parked on that road one day when I was in the cemetery.
Yeah.
And there was this big truck coming
trucks,
in.
yeah.
And I was kind of in the way. So the guy with the blower, I'm like, oh, I did not know that you guys were.
Oh, yeah, it's a busy
Yeah.
road, actually.
Said, all right, no problem. But I didn't anticipate that I would be blocking. Is that there's enough room,
Yeah,
but apparently it's a very active driveway.
it is.
And what's that building that's like kind of falling apart that's back there?
Isn't that part of Pan Am? Is that their building?
I thought that was part of Mahoney's storage yard.
Okay.
It's what?
It's not the city's
Renaissance
property.
Minerals.
Oh, it's not-
Yes.
Oh, okay.
It's not ours.
Yeah, it's really kind of decrepit. Anyway, thank you.
So we'll have coordination the day of the event. We have, Susan Sterry gave me May 14th, and then we picked a rain date so that you could kind of message all in one fashion. We've been working, and you'll hear more when it comes to the website portion of your agenda. Some of your committee members have been working with Stephanie Secord, our public information officer, and she's also going to coordinate to help push out notice of this event. We talked about doing a little signage with a QR code on it so people could, open it up on their phone and donate to the trust.
That'd be great.
So we put some of those pieces in place, and then the thought is, again, assuming I get a green light from the Division of Historic Resources, that so that when you do your presentation on April 10th, April 18th, thank you.
Monday night, yeah.
Yep, April 18th. You can focus right in on this project. In addition, I'm putting as an action item, under the city manager's action items, authorization for up to $2,500 to come out of the Historic Cemeteries Trust for the payment of these supplies. And what I'm hoping is, we could take, we've got that other line item that you've heard about, for cemeteries, but my thought is, by putting something on the agenda and referencing and talking about the Historic Trust, it might help build up that momentum for people to think about donating there. So it may seem like a big exercise for a small amount of dollars for this project, but I thought there was value in talking about the fact that this trust exists for these types of projects, and it kind of feels tangible. If you're out on the field, hey, this is how much it cost us. Could you donate, $20 or $50 for the next, set of supplies for the next, headstone cleaning project. So that's what I was thinking about, is to try and get that conversation going, that understanding that there's a place to put your money where you can feel like it's dedicated right to the cemeteries. And it's,
On the website too? Like a donate button?
yep, and you'll hear more about that when the crew here that's been working with Stephanie, they'll talk about their work on the website. So that's, yep.
So like the money for these supplies?
Yep.
Just so I was clear, so there's a Cemetery Historic Trust Fund, right? Mm-hmm. That the one that has the 80,000 approximately?
No, this is the small one.
Small.
This is the trust that has about 50, I have the number somewhere, like 56 or 5,700 in it. It's very small, but that's why I, in some ways, wanted to get it out there that this trust needs to be replenished.
Right.
So that we can do projects like this, because it's a great resource for this type of project. And then there are other accounts that are holding capital monies for when we actually have to do a wall.
IP stuff.
Right, for when we're doing a wall or a bigger
Yeah.
project like that. So that's why I thought this is good to talk about this and try and generate that interest.
That 5,700 then would be donations that have been historically received by the city
Yep.
from citizens, right?
Yep.
And then, so that money, so we don't have to do anything, the committee doesn't have to do anything with
Nope.
handling money, or it's all good?
Correct. We're trying to take that piece out of your hands and make sure that we would make the auditors happy by following all the processes and procedures that we need to do for.
But you had to put on her credit card and submit for reimbursement to the city.
Right, well, that's why we're going to use our process, our card to go get it, and yes.
City council still needs to approve it.
At the minimum.
We are going to purchase the supplies we have city credit cards for these kind of small purchases, and then get reimbursement from the trust.
Okay.
And the trustees of trust funds ultimately
Perfect.
vote to approve that. So it's a multi-stepped process. The city council approves, the city manager writes the letter, or I'll write the letter to the trustees of trust funds, supply the receipts, and then it goes to the trustees of trust funds for final approval.
This is awesome. So,
So, the other thing I did, and we'll post up on the website once we're really ready to launch the project, I did do already the volunteer liability, form. So, did the lawyer work. And it's even set up for, in case you get someone who's underage, it's already set up to get the kids involved.
So, do we have a source of volunteers?
Not yet.
I'm just
Word of
But
mouth, I guess,
that's
we start
the point of all the, getting before the city council, getting it in the, the Portsmouth Facebook page, and, you're welcome to repost, from our stuff.
yeah.
So I expect you will have some volunteers.
Yeah. The volunteer form is on the website, though, right?
Not yet.
Not
I
yet.
figure I'd launch it all together.
Okay.
Has it been approved for distribution, this form? Mm-hmm. It is.
By me.
Okay. I'm just saying, so if I was talking to a group of people,
Yep.
some type of association, I could say, hey,
Yep,
I'm
feel
doing
free to
this.
share it, sure.
Okay, good.
Yep.
Well, that's exciting because May
it is.
14th is
Right around the
The end of
corner.
the week is
5
that?
weeks away, right?
Saturday?
What's that, Sue?
Just wanted to know what day of the week it was.
It's a Saturday.
And then I just want to, I'm cognizant, because I know Corin has an obligation tonight. If you don't mind, he and I were talking about some of the landscaping, if you will, issues. I know there was a conversation that came up about some possible either tree trimming or bush trimming. Yeah.
Well, I have an issue regarding the way the mowing is done. I have a picture. I need to get it out of my cell phone.
We could also use some, I don't think I've seen a rake in a long time, of leaves and debris,
Yeah, let me see.
sticks.
Yeah, we go through there
Yeah.
more regular than you think. That just generates a
accumulates
lot of
pretty
debris.
quick. Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Especially with the winds.
I didn't know your
hear the
department
winds
even
out there,
existed until today. So that's great. Yeah. There was a
Well,
tree department.
Yeah, and I know when you're talking about historic cemeteries, some of the plants in there may be actually from very special plants because they were planted, years and years and years ago, and you'd want to be careful not to take them down or remove them.
Yeah, that have been there.
But then there are also invasive species that have crept in that probably could use some attention. And if the committee thought it would be helpful at any point, I know Corin and I talked about a member of his staff who might be able to walk around with, one or two of you who are interested to kind of look at some, other projects that could be done either by Corin staff, as time permits, or as another volunteer activity, depending on, what you see. So just know that part of the reason Corin is here is to help be that resource and find the resources to learn more about what's out there.
Yeah.
Now, this picture here, it just shows that when the grass is being cut, clippings of that are just sticking to the headstones. So if we clean them and you mow the lawn,
Yeah,
It's like-
it's tricky. As Michael knows, they're very closely spaced, but we'll definitely do our best.
so I don't know what would be the alternative in using a machine that doesn't necessarily more like a vacuum things, the clippings off. rather than splatter them.
So the whole
Andrew.
cemetery is done by hand because you can't put a machine in there. So we basically do the entire cemetery with line trimmers or weed whackers. And so they tend to spray. So we have the guards on them. And if the grass is wet that day, that will tend to want to stick to the stones. I will try to do better and have the crews blow them off after. It is a very large space. It takes us about 5 hours with 5 people, 4 to 5 hours to do that entire place. And we're on a pretty tight schedule, so I'll definitely work on doing better as far as clearing off the headstones afterwards. You know, maybe what I can do is have one person just going around with a blower once they've done most of the cemetery and just, you know, try to blow them off as best we
Okay.
can. It's tough because it's very tight, and so you're weed whacking here, and the weed whackers tend to spray left and right, but we'll certainly try to do better.
Too bad we can just put gravel or something throughout the whole thing, you know?
You know, they used to spray a,
So we'll get you a little whisk broom you can follow.
they used to put a growth inhibitor on the grass. I've gotten away from that. I don't really like spraying things, so.
Yeah.
But we can definitely try to do better, for sure.
All right. Yeah, because that one's pretty obvious to me, because I went one day to locate, this is Lyman Spalding,
Yeah. No,
And,
I know, I've seen it.
and I was like, the next day I come back, and, or the following week, and I'm seeing all of these clippings all over the place. What happened?
Yeah.
So you should probably think about timing, I guess, when we do the headstone cleaning, if we
Oh, good thought.
just
With mowing and,
work
weather.
together.
We probably won't even be mowing until May, if I had to guess. I mean,
Ah.
depending on what April brings, but I wouldn't worry about it for this particular headstone cleaning. But
Okay.
other cleanings, for sure, we'll want to probably pre-mow prior to that.
So you'll be there after, if I had May 14th and later, back half of the month?
I would say so.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, well, I'm thinking this is April.
Yeah, it's May 14th.
We're already April,
yeah.
wow.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's why.
There could be a chance the grass tends to grow a little slower over in that area than others, depending on the year. You know, last summer I was able to mow it every other week. Which buys me time to do other things, so. But, yeah, if I think we need to mow, we'll definitely get it done before we clean them. That way, if there's any debris on them, that can get cleaned off.
Okay. Sounds great. Thank you.
Yeah.
Appreciate that.
Another thing that I wanted to ask you about, because I know that the council had on their agenda last Monday about the cemetery
The listing?
being, so any feedback from that? Did they accept it? What
Oh,
is?
they did. Yes, they
Okay.
approved it. And so I am going to be writing to the New Hampshire Division of Historical Resources indicating that the city concurs.
Okay.
So that should be going forward. And I'm hoping to make the same call at the same time, like, hey, just checking, here's the project plan. I figured I'd kind of combine the two at the same time. So, yeah. Let me just ask, like I said, I know at some point Corin needs to leave because he has an obligation this evening. Are there any other questions while we've got him related to some of that coordination issue?
It's on a Saturday. Is our goal and objective to do the entire cemetery in one outing?
Well, that's
Possible and kind of learn.
That's up to how many volunteers you get.
Yeah.
So we've got an 8 to noon time frame.
Yeah.
This is like a demo almost. It's like a first step.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, it's kind of like, a demonstration type, I would choose this as kind of like more of a learning.
Train the trainer.
How long does it take?
trainers, How long does it take? How many people, you can do some measurements.
up.
Like each stone is 12, cubic feet. How much that takes, how much cleaner. We'll learn a lot. And I noticed in the thing, it said the Union Cemetery too, but I don't think that's out
You're
of
thinking it's,
scope.
okay,
It's just going to be the north.
just going to be the north.
so.
I can edit that document.
Yeah, just north.
Just so
Yeah,
it's
I
cleaner.
confirmed with
Yep.
Sue too.
To start.
Michael, have you used D2 before? You have. Is it kind of gloves? I mean, we're talking like a kitchen glove or more of just a regular nitrile?
Yeah, a latex glove would be sufficient.
It's really mild,
Skin
right?
irritation or
Yeah, it's
irritation.
totally neutral. There's no acidic stuff in it.
Safety glasses? Okay.
Corin, if we want to find you, if we have a question, how can we contact you?
Yeah, we could, I'm right on the city website. If you go
Okay.
to departments and you look under Parks and Greenery,
Okay,
my email and
great.
contact info is right there.
Wonderful, thank you.
Last question I have, Warren, is just on the cemetery and like the fence. So is the fence that's fallen down, is that owned by the city or is that owned by the abutter back there? Along with the trees that are all
I think that's
encroaching?
being looked into. I think
Yeah.
that's been an area of question for a little bit.
Yep.
So I think
Okay.
that's a good thing that that's coming up now.
Yeah,
So I think that's in progress.
Yeah.
okay, so it's an open item, so we're not sure if it's owned by the city or.
Right.
It's on the abutter. It's the metal fence, it runs parallel to the train tracks going south and west.
There's that, and then there's the
all-
one along the back.
Yeah.
Right.
it's
It's
like-
not really sure, we're not quite sure who owns it yet.
Yeah.
Right.
And then all the trees and stuff, which cause you grief because they all grow into the cemetery.
Right.
And drop branches and crap.
I know we've pruned both sides about, I think, a year ago. Last year we went up the left side. And then I think the year prior to that, the crew went down the back. And they've done every tree in the cemetery in the last year and a half, I think, for deadwood and any hazards.
Yeah.
Wow.
And I think one of the challenges that we will have whenever we want to do any, if we want to do any more substantive work, whether it's with the fences or if we're dealing with plant materials, we are within that shoreland area. And so there are lots of limitations in terms of what we can and can't do. So that's why it's a coordination piece.
Yeah, it's the Shoreline Protection Act, and we have to be careful. We can pretty much cut invasives, but anything native really, just as a general rule of thumb.
Yeah.
So we can, look at that area. We've got a wetland scientist on staff that we can take down there and do a walk and identify if we have invasives. Those can absolutely be cut out by hand and removed, and that often, it's unbelievable the difference. You're just like, wow, this looks like a brand new place. Like
Right.
we've done it over off of, if you're familiar with Pierce Island parking lot.
Yeah.
So all that entire shoreline, all the way up around the point, back to the outdoor pool, and over on the other side, we've done that for the last 3 or 4 years. Every year we cut out the invasives. So it takes about 5 years or so, 6 years, and those root systems just don't produce anymore. So if you keep cutting back the material, it's a lot of work, but once you've done it, you can pretty much kill the root systems of the invasives. But it takes about
Did we
5 years.
replant along that?
We really haven't had to because we left all the native species and they're actually reproducing quite nicely. So we didn't have to do any planting in there. We looked at it our first year, and then with Earl's guidance, we sort of decided to leave it, and it's doing really well.
And that's good, because, yeah, you can need the seagrass to kind of
Yeah.
stay there and,
Yeah, it's everything. It's like, it's the whole ecosystem that's there needs to sort of get those invasives out and it can kind of do its thing again, which is great.
well, thank you.
Yeah.
For that information, so.
Yeah. Good. Thanks, Warren.
They're planting trees like crazy right now, boy.
Yeah, we got 100 bearer trees going out in the city right now. All over.
Oh, gosh.
Yeah, it's fun. It's a lot of fun. It's the best time of year.
Yeah.
Cool. Where are they going?
Yeah.
So they
Just
go
curious.
all over sites where trees have been removed, and also just areas that need to be reforested. So streets that maybe have green strips that don't have any trees in them, for whatever reason. Requests. So if a resident says, "I'd really like a tree out in front of our house in the city green strip," and there's a spot, we'll put one there. So it sort of generates, the list sort of self-generates throughout the year through the Trees and Greenery Committee and requests we get, and we could probably plant 500 if we had the time.
What kind of trees are them again?
What's that?
What kind of trees are they?
Well, they're a variety. I think there's 19 different species, maybe 20, that our arborist Charles Chuck, as a lot of people know him, has chosen. So we're trying to make sure we have diverse urban forest. So if you looked at the city and all of its properties as a forest, so if you just like zoom out, right? It's not just a street or one tree, it's an entire actual ecosystem. We want to make sure we have a variety of species there present. So we've got, climate change, we've got salt air, we've got droughts, So there's a lot of factors there that go into deciding. So we're planting a lot of species that are tolerant to all those conditions. Instead of, always planting a red maple or always planting a red oak. Try to
Or like having all of those elm trees that we had way back
Way
when,
back,
and they
yeah,
had that disease that killed
Yep.
all of them.
Yep, so instead of having one species all down the street, now we have maybe 10, 12 different, so, exactly,
Oh, that's good.
yeah.
That's cool. Well, thank you. Any other questions for Corin?
No, that's great.
Thanks so much.
Thank you.
Thank you. You're welcome to stay.
My wife's birthday. We have an evening planned, so, thanks for having me, and I'll look forward to seeing you again.
Thank you.
Thanks. See you soon.
Take care.
Thank you,
Thanks so
Corin.
much.
Awesome. All right, so the next item is the webpage update, which, all web pages are kind of a work in progress. We'll continue to build on it, but we have a page that's under boards and commissions, and there's a link to,
Yeah, you can look it up. Everybody can look it up on their phone.
oh, okay.
Cemetery committee
in the
page.
app.
Yep.
And Stephanie, keeps up.
She's awesome.
Yeah, she keeps up, and when she makes an addition or something, she's let us know.
Yeah.
One thing she said, though,
I'm
and
going to make sure that you talk close to the mic so that as we record, at least it'll be
oh, heavens,
captured, for those that missed the meeting.
I'll take my mask off. It's not that big a deal. Stephanie's really wonderful about updating us. And
awesome.
One of the things she said, though, and this came through the other day, is that some of the images that she wanted to use are owned by Grave,
Somebody
Grave
else.
something? And so I wondered about that. It's not the most crucial thing, but it is good to have pictorial representation. And so don't we have pictures ourselves that she can't just import and put on
pictures.
on the page?
I was going to say, I think you should feel free to take some current pictures.
Oh, heck, we can do that.
Send them to her, and she will use the
Okay,
ones that
great.
seem to fit. So
Okay.
I
Well, there's so many already.
whittle it down for her.
I will do that, or we will do that.
Yeah.
Somebody,
have
any
some
of us
right
can do it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Particularly once we start cleaning the headstones.
Right.
Like a before and after, I think, would.
But she's very responsive, so
She's unbelievable.
Yeah.
She's fast.
yeah.
So I think she was referring to when I gave her that info on that old website?
Yes, I
think
do.
She was referring to pictures from that.
From that, okay.
They were copyrighted.
But I
Yeah.
think you're right. We can just go out and take pictures.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If something's needed, we'll just
Okay.
go.
Is the website that Find a Grave?
No.
No, it was something
there
else.
used to be one
Grave
called-
Finder?
there
It
used-
wasn't Find a Grave, it was.
Because
Well, the
people submit
website-
pictures to that, so I doubted that they own anything.
That I don't know.
And
Yeah.
there must be a different site.
It was different,
I
a
know, It's
different.
called
Yeah.
PortsmouthOldGraves.org.
But
or
it
something.
was-
Oh, okay.
It was
archived one.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
like
It's
archived.
probably owned
but-
by,
Somebody.
I think I
Not
know
us.
someone that has it, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, it has,
But it's easy to get pictures, so.
Yeah, okay.
yeah.
We should
be
take
great.
pictures on the volunteer day, too.
Yeah.
After we clean them.
What do we do before
Before and after.
Before and after.
Yeah.
So I think just know that the website is not static, and through that ongoing communication with Stephanie and your two board members here, committee members here, have I think they've found her and
Yeah.
they've established the relationship. So I'd say, yeah, find some pictures that
Yeah, that's-
seem to capture what you're looking for, and just give us some time. She's got a pretty heavy workload like everyone else, but I'm sure she'd be glad to work them in, and and it'll evolve over time.
yeah,
So
it's a
as we
work-
do something with the project, take that before and after, and then we can also post to the Facebook page just to again build up that communication with others who may not realize what you're doing.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. because there's a lot of people on the Portsmouth Facebook page and unofficial Portsmouth Facebook page that we could, do some PR, I guess.
Yeah.
So, with pictures. So it'll be so exciting once we get going. So I don't know, and maybe even an Instagram page at some point or something. But once we start making more physical progress, I guess. So anything else on the web page update?
No, I mean, she did everything we asked. There's a donate button, there's a contact page. I mean, anything we want, if anybody has any suggestions. It's really I think it's in infancy. It's not really well developed yet, but any suggestions, we can talk to her.
Because she's totally on the ball.
Oh, she's,
Yeah.
yeah, she's something else.
Yep. That's common, though, as a former web designer.
Yeah.
It's like, you start with a small and you just
Yeah.
keep building on it. So that's awesome. All right. So the 400th Celebration Working Committee. So we need to figure out what we want to do next year to be part of the 400th celebration. And we were thinking of having like a cemetery week at some point during the summer of 2023. And we need to get our application into the 400th committee by June. So we have a few weeks. But we're looking for a few volunteers to help figure out what we're going to do. I've already volunteered my husband to do a history walk. So, one of the cemeteries. So there's a pretty good document out there for Point of Graves. But so, do we have any volunteers, or can always?
Yeah, I can help with that, I think.
Okay, great.
It's the Dover, they have an anniversary going on too.
They do
And,
same year.
So they already did like a tour. They have actors
Yes.
kind of standing in front of the grave telling you who the person is, dressed in their costume. I think they did a fair job, but I think that we could do something a little more historically accurate.
Okay.
And maybe, I don't know, a little professional and put it out there as part of all of the filming and all of that material for the 400.
Great. That's awesome.
Yeah, and just as background, so the 400th committee is really just partnering. They're only doing a couple of events, themselves, but what they're doing is leveraging the communication that's going to be around the 400th, so that as committees, organizations, businesses have events that are tying into the 400th, it becomes a way to broadcast to a wider audience those activities. And so in follow-up to that cemetery week, having spoken with Sue, like I said, Sue Sterry before she was away traveling, she is in conversation with the state archivist, as I think she reported at the last meeting, to see if we can get some of those historical documents here
Yeah.
for
Awesome.
a specific week, and then tie the tours and other things into that same period, so that there's a real focus point
Right.
of energy and effort by tying in, say, documents, tours, maybe with the houses, as however you guys decide to roll it out. But I thought that was a clever idea on her part, or whoever came up with it, to perhaps get those documents to travel here, whether they're at the Portsmouth Athenaeum or the Portsmouth Library, but tying it all together. And then
I think a local exhibit of those documents would be good. The only problem that I see, a conflict, is that I'm also part of the Friends of Fort Constitution, and they're doing a big reenactment in 2024. And they're thinking about doing the same thing, bringing in the documents, the proclamation from the governor, and all kinds of other stuff. So it could be some crossover there. But we have plenty of them. That's the thing about
Yeah.
living in a historic town.
Yeah.
We have an overabundance of historic documents.
That's my thought too. I'm
So-
guessing,
It's a good thing to repeat.
yeah, yeah. I'm sure it'll be workable.
But many of them
Yeah.
will require to be shown in a secure facility,
Yep.
which I think the Portsmouth, where the Historical Society. is-
At the Athenaeum.
Not at the Athenaeum.
Discover Portsmouth?
Discover Portsmouth.
Yep,
They may have the security there because of all the material they have
yep, with the
put out
artworks and
for
stuff.
exhibit. So
Yep.
there must be a secure facility.
Yep.
So,
I wonder if the John Paul Jones House could be used for that.
I bet it could.
And it's owned by Discover Portsmouth.
Right, but it's also easier to manage
Yeah.
Yeah.
the flow of people when you're dealing with documents like that.
Actually, the Discover Portsmouth is easier
Yeah.
because they've done it quite a bit.
So I'll add in my notes that Sue has offered to be part of the 400th team.
Thank you, Sue.
Is there like a week schedule? I guess that's next year, right? 2023.
It's, yeah, I don't know.
Is it like a week? Or a
Yeah,
month?
it's like, no, it's like all year. So that's why you can kind of pick your week. And that's why I'm thinking there's whatever coordination issue there might need to be between other events happening. But I like the idea of whether it's 1 week or 2 weeks, that there's a focus point for your efforts. Because I think that's going to pop a little more in the scheduling.
It could be like cemetery tours 1 week or 2 weeks during that whole thing.
Right.
Yeah, with the documents.
Cemetery.
Yeah. Yeah, so there are a couple signature events for the 400th committee.
Right.
There's no parade.
Don't think so.
No
I forget
parade?
what they are.
Great. Yeah.
I should, but, they're basically saying to us, you can pick your week,
Yeah.
that you want to do this, and we'll help you, they'll co-brand it with us and help get the word out. So I think what we need the committee for at this point is to just say, what are we going to do, Do we have enough to do a reenactment? Can we get the document? That kind of thing. And actually, I think the 400th committee would be okay with vague. They are totally behind our committee and want to partner with us. So, yeah, I think we're good. We just
I think Harold Whitehouse is going to be shocked that there's not going to be a parade.
Well, not yet. Who knows?
He
Maybe
was
there'll be
there
a
the last
groundswell. I
several
don't know.
times that we've had a 50th anniversary at the
Still be
400.
around?
And I'm like, he said, if I'm going to be around.
Because there was a 350th parade the last
Yeah.
time.
it was-
Well, maybe
it was
there
like
is,
that.
and I.
Remember that like it was yesterday.
Were you on the Yokin's Whale? I
That
thought I
was
saw
one
a
of the
picture of
floats.
you, yeah, I thought I saw a picture of you on the whale.
If not for Bill Elwell, that
like
parade
that.
never would have happened. Six divisions. That
Really?
parade took over 2 hours.
Really?
wow.
Wow.
Prince Charles was here.
That's right.
Oh, my God.
He was assigned to a British naval cruiser, which spent the whole week here in Portsmouth.
That was a big time event.
It's huge.
Yeah.
The mayor of Portsmouth, England was here. They had a big ball over at the Armory off Maplewood
That's so
Avenue.
cool.
400th committee's got a lot to live up to.
Yeah, so that information, Eva, we met with them 2 months ago?
Yeah,
At least, right?
at least,
Maybe.
yeah.
Yeah,
Even
it was
maybe.
January.
Yeah.
January, so maybe the COVID situation
Maybe things have evolved.
better now.
So-
that, they think that we can,
Yeah.
who can see what next year will bring, but,
A lot of change in 50 years. Yeah.
yeah. That's just awesome. So good. All right, and then item 8 is new member applications. We do have one
Yep.
that the city council is going to
consider at the next meeting. Yep.
approve. And so we're just, if you guys know of anybody that wants to, I'm working on somebody to, to help out. He's very involved with the Athenaeum and stuff, so I think he'd be good. And we already talked about developing a volunteer list and volunteer form, and the volunteer form is in your packet. So it will be posted eventually on the website so that people can just, sign up to help us out, so.
Dee, is somebody putting together, will there be like a flyer that, just for the event that you can hand out with the form?
That's a good idea. Yeah, that's a good idea.
Because that's what I'm thinking is, so I live, over in Port Walk Place,
Yeah.
and there's 200 people that live in there, and a lot of people are interested in doing things, and there's all kinds of things that go on. Sue did a tour that I think I first met you on years ago.
Did a couple.
Yeah, at a Port Walk Place, but there's a lot of people that are interested in that type of stuff, so I could talk to the building
Yeah.
management, and they drop it off at every door, and I guarantee it would get like 5-7 people
Yeah.
that I know of
Yeah.
who are interested in this type of stuff.
Yeah, so, I don't know, I'm wondering if we should do a train the trainer type of thing first before we
Yeah.
kind of go
So
public.
I just have it smaller, and then,
Yeah.
next time we know what we're doing a little bit.
And like Michael said,
Yeah.
it's,
Yeah.
4 hours isn't going to do it.
Yeah.
We're going to need to have additional things, so, but absolutely, that's
All right, yeah,
a
I think
great
I think
point.
that's a good idea for like the next step is to have some sort of a flyer.
Yep,
So maybe we just do like word of mouth, and as he said, to see how this one goes.
yeah,
So it's not
yeah,
under promise and over deliver type of thing.
absolutely, that's, I love that motto.
Yeah.
And we want to do signage too for the North Cemetery, so for that day or leading up to that day, to say this is what's happening here, so people, get excited about it, and also like, what are those people doing in the cemetery, kind of thing. So
No,
that's good.
I want to just say, I feel really terrible, but I'll be out of town then. I mean, no, I didn't know, that it's something planned. I won't be able to be at the
I'm sorry I didn't hear you.
Yeah, I just can't do it. Makes me feel bad, but,
There's plenty to come, Carrie.
yeah. No,
Plenty to
I'd like
come.
to be there, but we'll be out of town.
Oh, yeah, no,
So sorry.
plenty of
If there's
opportunity.
anything I can do to help leading up to it, I will do that.
Good. All right. So, number one, just any further business? Anybody have ideas they want to share? Or
I don't have an idea, but I have a question.
Okay.
And it's for you, Suzanne. So I want just a clarification on how much we as individuals, as we're working on projects or things individually or in pairs or whatnot, how much are we supposed to run through you? Like a lot of times I have questions. Today I called Amy Dixon at, Historical Resources, and, you do these things, but in my mind I'm thinking, I hope I'm not bypassing someone that I'm supposed to talk to. So could you help me with that?
Yeah, I don't think there's a real. It's hard to give a good answer to that. I must say I have found that most of the outreach that all of you have done to date has been very respectful and thoughtful, and I think advanced your interests in helping us protect the cemeteries. And I think what Susan has done is kind of looped me in and said, okay, I've had this conversation with the Division of Historic Resources. The division knows that the city needs to sign off on certain things. And so just assume that if you're actually going to make some application, like for an LCHIP grant or something, the city's going to have to sign off on that anyways. So the fact that you're doing your homework and helping put together some of that legwork I've been comfortable with that because thus far what I've seen is you guys are doing the work and yet not making representations beyond. It's like, yes, I'm a member of the committee, I'm helping out, I'm putting this together to bring back to the committee and the city. Thus far, I think it has been a good working relationship, and that's why I wanted to get Core in here, because the minute we start to actually do physical work, that does have an intersection, obviously, with Public Works. So we need to have that good communication. And now you know more. It takes them, 4 to 5 hours with 5 people just to cut the grass. It's good for you to have that information, and good for him to hear what you'd like to do so that we can provide that feedback. And then on the money piece, okay, we were trying to decide, well, should we just, have you go buy it, someone from the committee, and then we get the receipts for it, or shall we actually just, it'll be cleaner, we've got some, sure we can find some other thing that we need to do in that direction of the state, and just have someone with the proper City of Portsmouth credit card who knows how to, give it to finance, to get it up to me, all the process, that we would just do it that way to make sure that there's good tracking and the material will be at Public Works. So,
Any expenditures.
yeah, it was going to be much easier to do it that way. And so I'd say thus far I'm finding the intersections are working pretty well because you guys are communicating well, and so not sure there's a hard and fast line there. I just say I haven't seen any issues yet because things are coming back to me when they need to come back to me.
Well, if we all started calling you, you would be.
You wouldn't have any time.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's why
But, you don't want to overstep,
Yeah. and I appreciate the thoughtfulness of that, and you are always free to reach out to me. Like I said, I think thus far Susan's been good about running quite a long way and then touching back in.
Okay, good.
So,
Thank
and
you.
I know, Stephanie has kept me looped in and sometimes just copy me on an email. And, if I see there's, something that needs some direction. But thus far, I think you guys are finding your footing fairly well in terms of where you can be helpful and really advance, your interest in preserving the cemeteries and getting them the attention that you'd like to see them have. I think you're finding your place. So it's great.
Thank you.
No, thank you.
When does Portsmouth 400, the committee meets? Is that,
Going to be a year-long thing.
no, I mean
They
the
meet
committee.
pretty regularly. But I don't know because
Because I've been to their
thankfully I do not.
website a couple of times. I haven't been able to see anything other than who's in whatever board.
You know what? Why don't I just? I know they're meeting pretty regularly. I'll just see if I can get you the next set of meetings if they have them, and just link you
Just
up to
to
them.
observe.
Yeah,
Is it a blue ribbon type of committee, that 400?
I'm not sure.
I believe so. Yeah.
It is? Okay.
Yep.
It's
It
like-
may
it's
not
like
have-
standing.
It may not have a standing
Yeah.
date, but let me see how I can make sure you know when those meetings are happening. Let me see if I can make that connection.
Okay.
So.
Cool.
So, making your presentation.
Yeah, no, I was just going to say if.
What's that?
Yeah, the presentation. So that's to the city council, I believe it's 7 o'clock on the 18th. I'm about halfway done with it, and I'll send it out to everyone. I want to be traveling a lot the next couple of weeks for business, off a lot of airplane time, but taking a lot of pictures at the North Cemetery, been walking the grounds out there, been doing some research. Basically, the purpose of the presentation, right, is to tell the who, what, why, and when, right, of what we're doing. So the city council knows that we have a committee that is, definitely engaged, committed, and we're getting things done, right? Because a lot of them don't.
How much time is allotted for
I
that?
think it's 10 minutes, right?
We would like it to be somewhere around, not hard and fast, but they actually have a lot on their agenda for
Yeah,
the
so I'll time
18th.
it. What I'm going to do is my wife's going to time me, and so I'll get it down. It'll be like 10 minutes or so, but I don't want to cheat
Definitely,
cheat the cause,
right.
by just
Definitely mention the monument, the headstone cleaning project.
Oh yeah, definitely. That's what that's what I was going to do. Is basically just talk about what our mission statement is, why it's important to a community like Portsmouth to do this in the first place.
Sounds good.
And then the cleaning process and when the date is. Yeah.
Good, and then we can touch base. Why don't you touch base with me when you kind of get the presentation towards final,
Yeah,
because
so
we'll
you
get
can-
it loaded for you, and
I was going to
I'll
ask you
have
about that. Yeah,
coordination.
do I need to bring in like my laptop or anything? Or
No.
you'll already have it set up?
No,
so I
we'll
just-
talk about, yeah, you and I can talk
Okay,
offline
good.
about how to coordinate that and how to run it. Yep.
So it'd be great, the members of the committee too, on the 18th, won't you have that more, if you guys are free, it'd be great to, have you there and support live, or at least look on the website.
Yeah, I've been coming to the city council meeting, so I
Great.
guess I'll be on that one too.
You live there.
Seats for everyone.
I'm moving into City Hall at any time.
All right.
Great.
So our next meeting, the first Thursday in May, is May 5th. Everybody
Cinco de
okay with
Mayo.
that?
Okay.
Olay.
Cinco de Mayo. You can go for margaritas. I told you, this is being recorded.
No, we don't want them to know that.
I will be in Florida that day, but I might be able to dial in.
So any motion to adjourn?
So move.
I'll move.
So moved.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.